Hello, kindergartners, and welcome to another fun day of science. It's me, Miss Allen, here again to talk about our new fish friends. I want you to really quickly just think back on Monday and Tuesday of this week and try and remember a couple things you've learned about our new pet fish. First, let's think about what we've learned about our guppies. Yesterday, we talked lots and lots about our guppies. What do you remember learning about those guppies? I remember one thing. I'm going to choose my pink sticky note because that's my favorite color. I remember that they are super colorful. They can come in all different colors. What's something you remember? Do you remember? I'm going to change colors. I'm going to use orange. Do you remember that they have lots of babies? Lots and lots. They can have up to 200 at a time. Could you imagine having 200 brothers and sisters? Woo! That would be crazy! Do you remember what guppies eat? Yeah, they like to eat fish food, just like a lot of our other pet fish do. I'm going to write fish food and add it to our list. Can you think back to some different parts of a guppy? What parts do the guppies have on their bodies? What's this part way at the end, do you remember? His tail, very good. Remember, guppies use their tail to go forward and backwards when they're swimming. What is this part right here, this black part? That's his eye. You got it. They need their eyes to see where they're going and to watch for food. Do you remember what they use right here to help them to breathe? Their gills. Awesome. They take a deep breath in through their gills or in through their mouth and they let it out through their gills. So I remember that the guppies have a tail. They have fins. They have an eye. They have a mouth. On their head, they have their eye, their mouth. They also have their brain in their head. There's one other thing. Oh, yeah, it's gills. Guppies have lots of different parts to them. Perfect. Try to think of one other thing that we didn't already list that you remember about guppies. On our list, we have that they're very colorful. They have lots of babies, up to 200 at a time. They eat fish food. They have a tail, fins, eye, mouth, head, and gills. What's one other thing that you remember about guppies? Just think in your brain for 1 second. Cool stuff. Let's move on. We're going to change gears just a tiny bit. And we're going to think back to Monday when we learned about our new pet betta fish. What do you remember about our pet betta fish? I remember that betta fish like to live alone. They're not very friendly to other fish, so they like to be all by themselves. What else do you remember about betta fish? I remember that they can also be super colorful and that the happier they are, the brighter they get. So I'm going to write that they're nice and colorful. Do you remember, do betta fish have live babies, meaning that baby betta fish come out of a betta fish, or do they lay eggs? I know that they lay eggs. I remember that from the video, and I remember that the moms lay eggs, but then who likes to take care of the eggs? The dad likes to take care of the eggs. Very good. Do you remember any parts of the betta fish? What are these beautiful things up here and back here? Yeah, betta fish also have fins. They also have a tail. What do they breathe out of? Do you remember what those are called? Gills. You got it. I am going to go ahead and make a list of all the fun things that our betta fish has. They have eyes. They have a mouth. Their eyes and their mouth are on their head. They have fins, a tail, and they use their gills to breathe. I'm going to make this list. Perfect. Now I want you to think of one other thing that you remember about our betta fish. We've already listed that they like to live alone. They're very colorful. They lay eggs. They have eyes, a mouth, head, fins, tail, and gills. What is one more thing that you remember about our betta fish? Awesome. Now that we have our brain warmed up and we've been talking lots about our guppies and our betta fish, we are going to be comparing and contrasting our new class pets. Remember, from comparing and contrasting, compare means we find things that are the same, and contrast means we find things that are different, so that are not the same. On Seesaw today, you are going to find this activity. This is called a Venn diagram. Can you say Venn diagram? Good. A Venn diagram is a way for us to show what the betas have that's special. See right here, this is our betta fish, and it says betas. What our betas have that's special? What our guppies have that's special? See, there's the guppy. And what they have that's the same. So things they have that are the same. What I want you to do is you are going to go into Seesaw. You can either type or write. You are going to list 2 things at least. If you would like to do more, you can. At least 2 things that the beta fish has that's different than the guppies. At least 2 things that the guppies have that's different than the betas. And 2 things they have that's the same. So for example, today I think I'm going to keep using my sticky notes because I think those look cute and it's easier for me to type. I'm first going to think of 2 things that make the beta fish special. So I'm going to think of 2 things the beta fish has that the guppies do not have. I remember that the beta fish can sometimes breathe the air. Do you remember that? They have a special part of their body that helps them to breathe air. So I'm going to write sometimes breathe air. They can't live by just breathing the air, but they do have that special part of their body that makes it so they can sometimes take a gulp of air. So that's something that makes the beta fish different than the guppies, is that they sometimes breathe air. Another one that you could say, I know that the fins and the tail of our beta fish are way longer than those of the guppies. So I think I'm going to pick a new color and I'm going to type tail and fins are longer because they are. I just know that by looking at them. I'm going to think of one other thing because I still have some space. I'm going to move these around a little bit. One other thing that the beta has that the guppies do not have. I remember that they lay eggs. And I know that the guppies do not lay eggs. They have real live babies. So I'm going to add that one right here. So this spot right here, right underneath the beta fish, this part of our Venn diagram is stuff that makes the betas different from the guppies. Next, we're going to think of what makes the guppies different than the betas. Like I was just saying, our guppies can lay live babies. I type live babies, and I'm going to add it to our Venn diagram right under the guppies. What's something else that makes the guppies special? Let me think. I remember that they can have 200 babies. So I'm going to write up to 200 babies. When beta fish have babies, remember, they just lay eggs and they do not lay 200 eggs. They only lay a couple at a time. But guppies can have up to 200 real live babies at a time. What's one other thing that makes the guppies special? I remember one. I remember that the guppies like to live with friends. They don't like to be alone. So I'm going to pick another color. I'm going to use pink this time. And I'm going to say like to live with others because they do. Our guppies at school have 2 other friends. So there's 3 all together. They like to live with each other. So again, friends, on Seesaw, you're going to come up with a few things, at least 2, but you can do more. I decided to do 3 because I had space. At least 2 things that make the betas different from the guppies. At least 2 things that make the guppies different from the betas. And then you're going to brainstorm at least 2 things they have that's the same. I remember that they like to live in the water. So I'm going to write live in water. And I'm going to add this to our Venn diagram in that middle part, which says same. That means they have them the same. I know that they have gills to breathe. So I'm going to type up gills. And I'm going to add it to our Venn diagram right in the middle there. I have just a little bit more space. I'm going to think of one more thing they have that's the same. I know that they both also have eyes, a mouth, and a head. I'm going to add that too. You might have different ideas, and I would love to see them. Be sure that when you're doing Seesaw, remember, you can use your pencil to write, or you can use your typing to type. You're coming up with 2 things the beta have that's special, 2 things the guppies have that's special, and 2 things that are the same. When you're all done making your Venn diagram, I want you to press that record button and tell us the special things that you found that are the same and that are different between the betas and the guppies. Just try your best. I know it can be a little tricky to fit all those words on your Venn diagram, but I know that you can do it. Can't wait to see your hard work. Go ahead and get started, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Great work today.